right? It's the four types of learners. The learner that is a why learner, they need to know the why. A what learner, they need to know the list. A how learner, they need to know, what the hell do I do with this now that you taught me it, right? And then the what if learner, who synthesizes all the information and starts creating different ways of doing something with that information quickly. You'll get more throughout this class. So first of all, oops, says backwards. Okay. Yeah, okay. So on that horizontal axis here, okay, where it says watching and doing, translators, sorry, there's 5 languages. We can't put them all on the same slide. So some people take in information by watching, observing. Some people take in information by doing. That's the horizontal line. They actually have to get their hands in the, they have to start doing things, okay? And then once they've taken in information either by doing or by watching, then they have to learn it. They have to process it. And that's what the horizontal axis is. Some people process things primarily through feeling. They have to feel the content. Okay. Some people have to do it by thinking. They have to analyze it primarily. Okay. So our teaching pedagogy here is 2 things. One is how people take in information, how they absorb it into their body. They either absorb it by observing, listening, hearing, right? Mainly. We don't taste the Dharma usually. Or they do it by doing. They actually have to do it. They have to go and sit and meditate. They have to go and practice the 4 steps, okay? And then to process the information in their body, in their mind, either they have to be a feeling, they have to feel it, or they have to think it. They have to analyze it. And so with these crisscrossing arrows, you get 4 types of learners. Someone who observes and feels is a type 1 learner. Someone who observes and thinks is a type 2 learner. Someone who does stuff with their hands and thinks is a type 3. And one who does things and feels is a type 4. So as a bodhisattva, which all of you are, when you teach, you have to teach to all different types of people in the room. And you don't know who they're going to be. So so each of these types asks the question. A type 1, that person wants to know the why. A type 2 person wants to know what. Like, what's going on? Give me a list of things. The type 3 learner wants to learn how. How do they do it? Like, how do you do this? How do you sit and meditate? And the 4th type thinks, what if? What if now that I have this, what's possible? Okay. So in this training, we're only going to focus on the first 2, the why and the what. We're not going to worry about the other 2 today. We're going to do those in teacher training 4. We're only going to focus on why and what. Okay. And each of those sections, the why and what, they each have 2 components. Don't worry about it right now. You'll be taught it. This is just an overview. The why has 2 components, connect and attend. The what has an image and inform.
Why people want to learn this? And how to connect the teaching to people's personal lives. And as you know, all people, including us, we have different learning styles. Tim already talked about it a little bit. Here is what he said. No, maybe you are a type 1, you maybe are type 4, you feel, or no, you are more like a thinker, or I like to put everything into practice, right? Doing. Or no, I like to watch nice pictures. I like to watch the teacher and I don't know, maybe a video. I learn by watching. So we process the information in one of these types. So we say that we need to teach all types for our learners, even if we naturally like one of these types. For example, I am more a feeler, no? I like to feel. But I need to include all types. And also, as Tim mentioned it really quickly, the learning cycle involves moving through these 4 phases, and each with a focus on a unique question. Yeah, and these questions you can see here is like a framework that takes learners or students through the learning cycle for a complete learning experience. So maybe you already know him, maybe not, and you will learn more in this training. But these are the 4 questions. The student will ask, why do I want to learn this? Number 1. Number 2, what exactly I am learning? Where is this coming from? Which lineage? Which teachers? Who taught the first time? Number 3, how can I use this in my life? Because if I cannot practice it, I'm just gonna change and move to another course, right? I will stop learning this because I want to use it. It has to be relevant for my life. And number 4, what new possibilities will this learning create? Like, how can I do this? And what if I practice it? What if I try to do it? What's gonna happen? But as you can see here, I highlight the why, because this will be focused on in the why. Because again, your students will ask themselves, why do I want to learn this? And this question is very important, okay? You have to go through this process yourselves and answer this question for your students. Why is this relevant? Because you don't want them to leave the class. Okay, so now also you guys will learn during this teacher training the 4 main steps. Here it is, just very briefly again, that you will use as a teacher to determine how best to deliver the content to your students. So you can see here, 1 is connected, attend, image, and inform. So that's gonna be the focus on this teacher training. But during my class today, here, we will be focusing in connections, which mean creating opportunities for your students to explore what they already know about the content and connect it, the meaning, to their personal lives, okay? And also experience something inside with what you are teaching, connecting to the heart of the content, connecting to the heart of the student. It's all about connecting, connections. You want them to feel connected, because if you are here also because you felt that heart connection, that, oh my God, this is amazing. These teachings can help me. So I believe it will help other people. But you have to make them to connect as you did with your heart and mind, right? So that's how we ask. This is what we have to ask ourselves. What motivating, connecting activity with an emotional charge should I choose, for example, to begin with in my first class? So remember that the key is to engage in the student in connecting to what they are doing already and with what they are learning from you, and make them feel they can apply this in their personal lives. It's not just many lists. There's not just vague information just to feel more smart. No. These have the potential, as you guys already said, stop their suffering. And because you want to help others stop suffering, because you see that all the time with your friends, your family, your partner. We are suffering. We are sad. We are not motivated. We feel discouraged many times. We compete to get things instead of helping others first, right? So you see this and you want to help them. So you have to connect with them. You have to let them know these teachings have the potential to change their lives forever. Okay, so basically that's connection. How to make the student to go deeper in a personal level, in a personal way.
Okay, so we're talking about the learner number 1, okay? The why learner. And here what we did by sharing our stories, it was a way to connect with each other, right? We connected listening to our stories. We connected relating to our personal dreams and stories and reasons why are we here. So that's an amazing way to connect, is by sharing personal stories, because we always relate to each other.
That we need to go through the whole cycle, because otherwise you can teach for hours and nobody will remember what you have said in these hours. And today, next slide, please. So this is the part which Paulina addressed yesterday very deeply. And today I address the second part of learner type 1. Next slide, please. which is attend. And this goes now from the left brain to the right brain. Now we try to get a logic viewpoint on the feelings we have invoked in our participants. How do we do that? Next slide, please. We do it first by analyzing what our participants have shared with her feelings. I asked you first why you have become a teacher, and then tried to summarize the different motivations you gave me, the feelings. I did the same with the quality of the teacher. So you gather, you make your participants share, which in this online format you can mainly do via the chat. You could also do groups where they talk about it and try to get them really analyze the feelings you invoke by connecting in the first part of the why. Then you can, because with this analyzing, you point out that people have similar motivations or they have different motivations. And we had a lot of different motivations in our chat today. And this is a very important part, that you get them out of the feelings from the left brain into the right brain, because this is the preparation then for the next step where you deliver the information. You try to get them analyze what happened in the group, to recognize that everybody might have a similar opinion, a similar, different feeling or a similar feeling. And then you prepare them for the content. So this is also how you make it relevant to them. Oh, maybe not only your motivation is here. Not everybody has the same motivation. Maybe people have other motivations. So you already prepare them that you give them content with different viewpoints. And a very important one here as well is, if you discuss a topic which might involve negative feelings or feelings which are hurtful, that you say that is okay. And that's what we do very often. We try to get out of pain, so we address pain a lot. So tell them it's okay to have pain, but that's why we need to go further and remove the pain. How do you do this part of attending, of analyzing the different feelings, gather them, point out the similarities and difference if you have a big audience? If you cannot make them share, if you cannot make them type in the chat. If you are standing in front of 5,000 people in a big hall, how do you do it? Any ideas? I see a lot of flustered faces at the moment. Yes, Ella, tell a story. Watch the faces. Thank you, Karin. try to figure out what's going on. And that what also makes a very experienced teacher, and that's what you need to prepare. Tell a story where you address all of it. So you are more or less anticipating what does the audience feel, how can you analyze it, and you put it in a story and share it for them. So at the moment when you have a lot of nodding faces, when you summarize and analyze, then you know you are on the right path. Then you have addressed their feelings. And there is a very good comment in the chat. Can I see the name? No, I can't see the name, sorry. Share your own experience. That's a very, very good method, that you describe your own feelings and then analyze your own feelings. But be very careful to put your own experience as the only feeling which is valid. You also have to open up for other feelings and other experiences. And that makes a true teacher, that you start from your own experience, but then add, oh, but I admire my teacher because he is so funny, and put the wisdom in his funniness. That's my own experience. But then go further and open up that others admire him for his love and compassion, that others admire him for the stories he tells, that others admire him that it is practical. So always take it then from your own experience to the experiences of others. That's a very good starting point that makes you also relatable if you start from your own experience. But then be careful, open it up, because otherwise, if you don't address other motivation, other feelings, you exclude, I would say, 80% of your audience, because they have a different feeling and connection. So broad.
But if you learn the techniques of what are some general patterns of students, right? What are the general patterns of students in the classes? Right? And that's why we teach the format system. That's why we teach, as a bodhisattva, what are some general patterns of people in the room so that you can teach to them. First of all, you need to learn about yourself. Right? Who are you? Like, what kind of teaching do you like? Like, do you like a why? Like, do you really like the long explanations that Tim gives in the beginning of a class for 20 minutes about why we're doing what we're doing? Or are you the type of learner that yawns when Tim explains the why for 20 minutes and is waiting for all the detail? I can't wait until Tim starts getting all nerdy and academic and starts giving a list of things that I'm going to be interested in. Right? Or are you the type of learner that's waiting for Tim to tell me how to apply this in my life? You're listening to the boring lecture about the 6 conditions for a good meditation space. Oh, okay, 6 conditions and 5 parts to the second part and blah, 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 blah. Just tell me how to fucking do it. Excuse me. Right? Is that you? Right? Or are you the type of student that's waiting in class for the time that the teacher gives you all of it? And all you're thinking about is not what the teacher says to do, but you're thinking about what are the possibilities that could come from this once it gets done. What's the possibility of this? Yeah, you gave me a why. Yeah, you became a nerd. Yeah, you told me what to do. Now, what's the cool result that could come from this? What is the possibility? Okay. In the chat, I just gave you 4 options. The person who's super excited about Tim's 20-minute why. That's a number 1. Or are you the type of person who's like, I love it when Tim gets all nerdy and academic and professorial. Like he puts on his reading glasses and he's like, let's go over this class. Is that you? Or are you or number 3, are you the type of person who like gets bored by all of that, but wants to know, damn it, just tell me how to do it? Or are you more of the type that goes, what's possible? That's a 4. But to be a good teaching, you need to focus on all of them. So here we go. I'm going to try to do this in 15 minutes. Good luck. So now we're shifting gears into the what. You just did the why for 2 classes. Now we're shifting gears into the what, which is okay, here we go. Review time, check learning. A good strategy for a teacher is to check learning. So a what learner, how do they take in information? How do they absorb information? There's 2 options. Okay, it's only 2 options. Okay. Nope, the question is only, how do they take in information? How do they, nope, I only want 1 answer, 1 word. Nope, you're going too far. You didn't listen to the question. Exactly, right? Christina says watching or do. They process information by observing. Looks like we need to go back to the slide. So what I'm going to do now is, because the answers were all over the place, I'm going to show you the slide again. Either that or the translation was bad. I don't think so. You have 4 options here, okay? Processing is horizontal. So maybe I didn't teach it well enough. See what I just did? I don't know if I taught it well enough. I checked your learning, and maybe I didn't teach it well enough. So the way you bring in information, okay, is either by watching, horizontal, or doing. 2 things, 2 ways you bring in information. I use the example of, I watch people, I observe what they're doing before I can learn it. Or you're like Pachi, and you have to do it. Like you have to use your hands, you have to use your body. Okay, that's 2 options. Now the way you the way you integrate, process it inside you. Horizontal is outside, vertical is inside. Inside, you either think about it, you use your brain muscles, or you have to feel it. Okay. Now we're going to make it obvious. We're only working on type 1 and type 2. Okay. So type 2 is an observer and they're a thinker. So they need to observe the information, and they need to think, and then they need to think about it. Okay. So one thing as a teacher is you have to assess learning as you go along in the class. Because if you go along and you basically just don't check, you could totally lose the students. And if you've lost the students at a certain point, then what's the point of the rest of the class? And this is actually a pitfall of a type 2 learner who teaches like a type 2 teacher. And this is what most professors do. They get up in front of the class, put on their reading glasses because they can't see anymore, right? Like me. And then they start lecturing. There are 6 conditions to making a good meditation space. The first condition has 3 parts. Blah, 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 right? And they go through everything and you're furiously taking notes, but they never check to see if you understood, right? And especially if you're not a type 2 learner, you need other aspects in there mixed in so you can grasp the content. This is why teaching is not easy. This is why you need lots of practice. Okay. So here we go. What? We're doing the what. The what wants to know certain things. They want to know, what do the experts think about this? What resources are available to me? What information is available to me? I have a coworker in another project who cannot move on until they understand every single detail of the what. And it drives me bonkers because I'm like, that's not important right now. What's important is this. We can't move forward in this project. We're delaying 10 days because you want a particular detail that's not important for 50 days from now. Okay, but a person who's obsessed with what wants to know all those details. Okay. So when you're teaching the what, like how do you teach to a what learner, but how do you teach to other kinds of learners that may not be necessarily list oriented? Okay, so we want to share content in both visual and non-visual ways. Okay. Sound is great. Music is great. Pictures are great, right? If you were a chef, one of your whats would be tasting the food. If you're in a yoga class, one of the whats would be a hands-on adjustment by the teacher. Oh, look, you can't get into this pose. Well, look, they'll probably say to you, your right hip is lower than your left hip. Like lift up the right hip. And maybe they're like, what are you talking about, teacher? And then they come over and go, try this. And then all of a sudden there's a tremendous space in the pose and the person feels it in their body and they get it. See? So when I'm saying visual and non-visual ways, it's like you describe it. Some people can take it in by just listening to the description. Lift your right hip. And some people don't have the kinesthetic awareness yet. What does it mean to lift my right hip? This. And you actually safely adjust them. And then they feel it. And you go, okay, well now engage that. And then you can work them into that. So learning is not just about giving a list. It's about engaging senses. Okay, so this type of learner, so what does this learner want? Like they want facts, right? They want facts. They need to know what the experts in the field think. What does the Buddha say about this? What does Kedrupje say about this? What does Kedrutempa Darge think of this? What does my teacher think of this? Right? The experts. They want to form reality. These are types of people who want to form it. Right? So the list make the reality for them. These people are interested in ideas and concepts. Like in a theoretical way, oftentimes. Like this type of learner wants to know the 4 schools of Buddhism and wants to know every single minor difference from them. You know, and they're so obsessed with all of those differences that they might miss the point of the differences. And then you as the teacher have to help them soften their mind so they don't become, so that the differences don't become an affliction. But you also can, this also helps you understand as a teacher where the student is as well. This helps you evaluate where the student's understanding of emptiness is today. What kind of affliction does the student have? Because normally when a student comes to you, there's some kind of affliction going on. They're trying to either solve it or they just want comfort. A lot of times they just want to be heard. And these kind of ideas here on the positive side, if you know what the differences in the 4 schools are, you can look at a student and say, huh, their understanding right now is in the sutra school. That's where their understanding of this problem is. So we're only going to work there. We're not going to work from Majjhimika today. So you as a teacher have to be interested in ideas and concepts, because it helps you evaluate where it can create a beautiful checklist in your mind when you're listening to a student and their needs and their afflictions. You can understand them better. Like, where is their understanding of emptiness today? They want to collect information. These type of people are thorough, like detailed oriented, librarians, okay? Even though I say I'm this kind of learner, I cannot handle being a librarian. Anyway, it's not my thing. And they like the traditional classroom. Like, that's where they thrive. This type of learner thrives, especially in the Galupa tradition. Okay. All right. And they function by adapting to the experts, meaning they look at the expert, they watch the expert, and they adapt themselves to become the expert. They adapt to become like them. They adjust themselves. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to go deeper. Yay. Okay, there's 2 components to the what. There's the image and there's the inform. And we're going to talk about the image today. And this is the more creative aspect of the what. I get to do the creative side. Yay. Anyway, so here we are. We're doing an image and inform, right? And we're focusing on the image. Now, Suna made a little mistake in her presentation, is that the image is actually right-brained. And there's an error on this slide too. Don't worry about the left side. The image is about synthesis, okay? So we're gonna focus on the synthesis side in this class, okay? It's about conceptual understanding, a picture of how it all fits together. Okay, so you're trying to create the tools for the students so they can synthesize the information that is about to come. I'll say it again. You're trying to provide the tools for the students to be able to synthesize the information that is about to come. All right. It gives them a concept. It gives them a framework so that they can put the content into. Like when I said, no, it wasn't like it was here. Maybe it was here. When I talked about the garden, like as a producer for an event for a teacher, you're creating the garden for the teacher so that the teachers can show up and teach, right? This is kind of like your gardening. You're creating this special teaching garden so that the content can fit into it, so that students can make correlations and understand it faster. The second section, Inform, is about the analysis. Okay. It's about how the students connect to all the details, how they understand, comprehend the underlying concepts. Okay. So when you move into the what, okay, where's my stop share? When you move into the what, you're first creating a place for them to synthesize all the information from the right brain. You're creating the garden. You're creating the framework. You're building the house so that when you start giving the information, then they can put the furniture in the house. That makes sense? Like you're first creating the place of synthesis. You're almost like setting all the neurons up. Like you're getting them ready to make connections. And then you make the connections in the Inform section. Christina is asking, what does this practically mean? She's a how learner. Got it? Right, Christina, good. Thank you. You'll see when I teach the class how it comes together, okay? All right, so here we go. What kinds of things do you do in this here? Okay. First of all, these learners, what are the learners doing in the room? First of all, they're visualizing or picturing the concept before hearing it. That's what I said. You're building the framework. Okay, the master at this is my teacher. They create images, idioms, idea images, they call it. And they give you the image before they teach it. Right? So they're already giving you a picture or a clue about the information. And secondly, the learners are also getting a bigger picture of the context, the content about to be delivered. What I just said. You're giving them, you're setting up the neurons, you're setting up the field, you're setting up all the tools that they need to be able to dive in. So what are you doing as a teacher? You're using other medium meaning pictures, or if you're a chef, tastes, or if you're a yoga teacher, physical assists to connect the learners to the concept. And you're also, this is the hard part and it's the fun part. You are blending emotional and cognitive goals. Like what you're trying to do is from the why. Okay, think about this. In the why, we established what we're going to do. We established, sorry, I'm mixing up words. We established a feeling and a connection to the content. We explained in the introduction the things we're going to learn, the goals of the class. And now we're starting to bring them together. It's a beginning to bring them together. You're trying to transform the image into an experience. And if you've ever been to my classes, my ACI classes, I'm constantly talking about my life experience as I'm teaching a concept. I'm trying to illustrate the idea in my life and showing it, this is how I apply this idea to it. Or I give you the story first, and then I start telling the concept. And then I mix in the story with the concepting. The main story with the details, rather. So I'm always trying to do this. So it's not so boring and reading from a book too. And then you create deepening connections between the expert knowledge and the learners. So you're trying to create those deep connections. And then you're trying to create opportunities to paint the bigger picture, right? To paint the larger picture.
Let's do a quick review. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions. You are expected to type in the chat the answers. All right. 2 lines. First line goes vertical. We can see it's feeling and thinking. And I'm going to try to give time for the translators to translate what's on the slide also as we go. So again, I'm going to just go slow, hopefully. When we talk about that vertical axis, the feeling, thinking axis, what does that refer to? You can unmute, you can chat it in. I don't care. Natasha says process. What does process mean? An inside process. Yeah, Ella, how we process information. Good. Okay, it's how we process information. So growing up in Canada, being a guy, we weren't allowed to do certain things like cry. That was decidedly not cool. If you're at high school and you cry, you get called names, you get pushed around a little bit. It's not cool. So there's a lot of certain emotions I'm not allowed to feel growing up in the 80s. You know, being a guy. And so that kind of gets suppressed. And one of the ways we can, you know, as I got older and trying to undo a lot of bad learning was like, why is my jaw hurt? Like, why am I keeping tension in my jaw? And it's, oh, so we can use a body sensation, a somatic sensation. I'm not saying what I need to say. So I'm like clenching my mouth shut because I'm not speaking my truth. Because I'm not allowed to talk about emotional stuff because we didn't do that in my house. That was like not cool. No one talked about their emotions. Unless they yelled. It was okay to yell. Like you can express emotions if you do it at volume 10. And for some reason it's okay. But one of the ways that now I think I can process is through a feeling. So one of the ways I process information is through feeling. The other way is thinking. And that's like when something bad happens and I'm just being quiet. And my partner's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. She's like, you're quiet. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking. I'm processing some stuff. I'll get back to you tomorrow when I've processed it. Okay, so there's 2 ways we can process information. What's the other axis? What's the horizontal axis? Doing and watching. Yeah, cool. How we take information in, how we learn. So I can't visualize anything. When I sit in meditation and someone says visualize, like lion's dance, or visualize a Buddha, or visualize a duck, visualize anything, visualize a color, visualize anything other than black. I can't do it. I get black. I can visualize black extremely well. And no colors, no shapes. And so when I was building my retreat cabin, the guy I was building, he would explain to me how to put together the two walls, like how to join the walls. And I can't do that. And I would need him to get, here's one 2x4, put it next to the other 2x4. Like I really needed to see it. And then I needed to do it. So there's different ways that different people are going to be learning. Some people can just like watch or listen or visualize. Some people need to do it. This is all review. Why am I taking so long on this? When I forget all of the other details, when I'm prepping classes, I come back to this. Okay. I come back to this, like at least I can remember this kind of basics of these ideas. And that leads us into how the different learning styles. Why? Why do I want to learn this? What is it exactly that I'm learning? Then the how people, like how will I use this in my life? And the what if. What new possibilities will this learning create? And so then some of these images are easier than others, but I'd like you to think of why I chose them. We'll get to it later, but they were chosen intentionally. Okay. So let's review the why. So we're mostly going to focus on what, but let's review the why. Why people, why it's like getting to explore the meaning of the content. Like, why is it important? How does it relate to my own experiences? What's the personal relevance to me? Right? Something can be fantastic information and totally irrelevant to me. There's lots of things like that. Pickleball, could care less. That whole craze is just meaningless to me. I don't care. So I have to make it, how do we make it personally relevant? So today the content is the 8-point posture. So if we think about the 8-point posture of meditation, how do we get our students excited about that? So if you were going to teach the 8-point posture and you have to address the why, which is like, why is it relevant to me? Meaning, how are you going to get your student excited about it? What would you do? Someone can unmute, someone can chat it in. I don't mind waiting people out. I can pick on people soon too. Yeah, make it relevant to them is really important. How are you going to make it relevant to them? Like Kat's saying, yeah, tell stories. Good personal example. Offer them the benefits. Connect to their goal. I like that. Cool. I think those are all really great examples. And that's what we're trying to get at. How do we make it relevant to people? Why is this important to you? Sell them on the thing that we're about to teach them, right? If they're not sold on it, then giving them all the details is kind of the cart before the horse. That's hard to translate, probably. That's like, it's such a great expression, though. There's a horse and a cart. And so the expression is putting the cart before the horse. So we can't give the details before people understand the relevance to them. They're still going to be kind of in the back of their mind thinking about who cares? Why is this relevant? I don't like pickleball. It's fucking stupid. Sell me on pickleball before you teach me the rules. And then we can think about like what experiences we can create to lead them in what we want to teach, right? Like, what are the experiences that we can create that will bring them to that goal of them being sold on pickleball or 8-point posture? So if we look to create an experience for someone to learn the 8-point posture, what would some examples of that be? Like, some things might be, what's our discussion technique? Or how will we engage in processing questions? Help them experience with personal experience. Yeah. Examples of not using the 8-point posture. I was thinking of something like more basic, like how do we create a space? Like, if we're going to teach an 8-point posture in a class, maybe we're sitting in a circle instead of in rows. Maybe that's more candle lit and incense filled or something. I don't know. We're going to make it more conducive to that experience. So we can look at it both from an intellectual side and an experiential side. These are all aimed at those are aimed at the why. Why do I want to do this? Okay. And that was covered by somebody else. So hopefully that's just a review, jog our memory. Type 2 is what? What exactly am I learning? So today it's the 8-point posture. What are we learning? 8-point posture. So some of the things to connect would be, how does that fit into the big picture? So it's both creating the big picture. Why is the 8-point posture important? How does that fit in? And then obviously it's going to include 8 points. It's going to include some details. A big thing in this type of learning style and teaching style is relying on experts. Who's the experts? What do they say? What do they have to say about it? So those are some kind of big picture ideas of the what. And then, as we've seen, we're going to break these down again into 2 more quadrants. Here we have image and inform. So let's briefly talk about image. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think this is what Tim will teach in the next class. Hopefully that's right. So I don't want to, we won't go in too much detail, but as a preview, hopefully, or a review, a big component of this image, or this what is using visual and non-visual methods to teach. So guess which one the image is? That'd be the visual. So we're helping people contextualize what they're going to learn with an image. So if we can get the concept of an 8-point posture really quickly through an image, then we can go into some detail with that. So we see the big picture and then deliver the content. So some examples. You could have a PPT. You could have art, you could have music, you could have movement. The text I was reading said anything other than writing or reading. So image is like, don't get someone to read, don't get someone to write. Get them to draw, get them to image, see a picture, have a movie, have a YouTube, have a TikTok video, any of those things. And again, we're trying to help a student develop a concept. In this part, we're encouraging through that big picture image to reflect on the overall. So again, we're kind of zooming out in this part, creating that bigger picture, creating the framework, the infrastructure for what the next section will be. What's the next section? Sorry, that was a little teaser. The next section is the inform, and this is what we're supposed to focus on today. Inform. And it's thankful for me, it's the easiest. It's kind of what we think of as teaching. It's just like fire hose information at people. It's just like, it's what we're used to. It's what we think of traditional styles of teaching. So what are students doing? They're receiving information. They are hopefully taking notes. It looks like Natasha is taking notes. She's being a good informed type learner. Okay. Asking questions, discussing points. That's kind of on the student's side. What's the student doing? They're receiving information through, in the previous example, images, creating the big picture, and now inform, it's going to be more the details. Okay. So what's the teacher doing? That's what the student's doing. Student receiving info, taking notes, asking questions, because Earl is struggling to make this a 90-minute presentation on 8 points. And being ready to discuss. Okay. What's the teacher doing? Well, the opposite, mainly. They're sharing information and knowledge. As a teacher, we're the one delivering the lecture. We are trying to organize the most significant points and making sure those points are easily recognized in the PPT presentation. Right? Art is all of the information what's the most important information? Is it accessible? And I don't know, like, so that when they have to do their homework and they have access to the PPT and they forgot everything in the lecture because they're like me and their camera is off. And when the camera is off, you get to do all sorts of stuff like make tea, watch TikToks, not be accountable. You know, I can't do classes camera off. It's just a horrible, horrible way to learn. Really, really hard. I think you have to have a lot of discipline, and that camera holds us accountable. I mean, it's certainly not impossible to watch TikTok's camera on either. But it's a little more obvious. So we're trying to organize those points. We're trying to put it into a format that's accessible. We're drawing attention to the details. Okay. And importantly, using a variety of sources. So one of the things that is important in this learning style is to have relying on readings, experts, you know, visuals from a textbook. You know, could be a guest speaker. It could be an expert opinion. It could be a live demonstration, anything like that. Okay. And I think, hopefully, I took my own, hopefully I did what I said we should do. And I think this comes up in a slide spelled out, but I'll go over them again in case it's not. What do we want to do? Student, receiving information, taking notes, asking questions. Teacher, sharing info, giving a lecture, organizing the most significant points, paying attention to details, using a variety of sources.
So let's start with the little bit review. I'm pretty sure you know all of this. The 4 types of students or learners. So please type, I will open the chat. Please type plus if you already heard about that from, I don't know how many teachers, 7 classes you had already. I hope you did hear about that. Yes, good, very good. So we have these 4 quadrants. Here is feeling, here is watching, here is thinking and doing. And then type 1 is between feeling and watching. Type 2 between watching and thinking. Type 3 and type 4. We are not really going deeper in the type 3 and type 4 in this ACI teacher training. In this training, we are focusing on first 2 types because we want to go deeper in them. Is that correct? Please say yes in the chat if I'm on the right class, and then that's what we are doing here. Good. So you did, let's see, I have something, right. So I'm pretty sure you know this also, right? Each of these 4 types can be divided into 2 also. And you also know all of this. So in my class, I'm going to be focusing on what? Type number 2, because you did already write why. So, you know, what do the experts think? So it's what? It's the main theory behind the class. I mean, many ACI classes and courses, there is a lot of what. We will have no problems with finding what in our classes. What resources are there? What information is available to me? Those are all the questions of the what type. So, yeah, we are between watching and thinking. Watching and thinking. That's what we are going to mainly focus on today. I hope you know all of this. I'm just reviewing, that's why it's quickly. So we seek and examine facts. And people of type 2 would like to know what the experts think about all these ideas. We are trying to form a reality. I would even add form a mental picture of the ideas. Here we are very interested in ideas and concepts. We critique and collect information. Thorough and industrious. Enjoy traditional classroom. And maybe if I would be more prepared, I would wear glasses, so I look more like a professor at the traditional classroom. And function by adapting to experts. Okay, so it's the main idea of the type what is to share content in visual and non-visual ways. And today we are going to be focusing on image part. There are two parts of what? Image and inform. In my class, we are going to be focusing on the image part, creative part. That's the main thing which I like about this category of image. The idea is to form a mental picture. So me as a teacher and you as future teachers, we have to try to form a mental picture in people's mind who are listening to our class. So we are going to be using another medium to connect learners to this concept. And we will see how we can do that. We will create reflection, blending emotional and cognitive goals. And I personally like to interact with students. So I'm going to be asking you different questions. Please type answers, any language. But please interact with me. I really like not just talking, but so I want you to be involved. And we are going to transform concepts into image or experience. And we will deepen connection between expert and learner, between me and you. I like that. And provide opportunity to paint the larger picture. Do you know all of this? Please type plus if you heard that already. I think some other teachers were already showing how you can do that, right? So, and it's so good, I think, to have many different teachers who can show how you can do this, different for types, and how you can teach. It's really beautiful. Thank you, Tatiana and team, for organizing this training and inviting so many different teachers. I really think it's a precious experience to have so many different approaches on how to teach the same content. It's brilliant. Good. We heard about it, but still difficult to use all of it. And, yeah, Angelica, I know, for me too. For me too. And it's not that you have to use everything. Maybe pick something that some couple of points and then focus on them. Don't try to cover everything. Pick something main. For example, I picked for my class, because I like it so much, to form a mental picture. That's my main going to be focus of my class. And of course, I will try to use all other things. We will talk about it during the class. So here it is. That's the name of my class. Each choice creates your future. So I decided to be a little bit creative, give my own name to this ACI class, because for me, this class is a lot about choices. Choices that we make in our life every day and some big important choices. And really, if you think about it, whenever you make a choice, like do this or that, if you decide, okay, I'm doing this, I'm going that direction, immediately that decision creates a new future for you, obviously. If you go another direction, it's different future. And we do it every day. And of course, we are going to talk about some very important choices and how to approach that. You don't have to teach this class the way I teach it. I just want to show you how else you can give this content to people. And I would like to start with, here's the 3 main topics of my class. It's going to be about 3 types of meditation, highest object of meditation, and how to choose your teacher. So I will not consider all homework questions. A couple of them are really easy, and I'm pretty sure you can teach them. Or even sometimes, by the way, as ACI teachers, you don't have to cover all homework questions. Some homework questions, for example, students can find in the reading. And it's maybe good to not answer everything and tell them, well, read the reading. You will find like 1, 2 answers there. That's also opportunity. Why not? I would like to try. So one of those type 2 things we should do is to provide opportunity to paint the larger picture, to look a little bit from like outside and look the whole picture. Let's try to do it right now together. I want to see, how do I see your gallery? Yes. Oh, great. Now I can see you. So let's try to paint a bigger picture. Question. What were the subjects in the previous classes, actually? We are ACI course 3 about meditation, applied meditation. So please type some of the subjects that we already taught students. We are in class 8, right? This is class 8. So what were the previous 7 classes about? Levels of meditations, problems and 9 stages, correct posture, 7 ingredients, preliminaries, yes. 6 preliminaries, 7 ingredients, 5 problems and 8 solutions, yes. Good. So, question, if you think about these 4 types, why, what, how, and what if, all those previous classes mainly were about which type in general? What do you think? Was it more like about why, or was it more about what, or more about how, or more about what if? Why? Really? Where is the why? I didn't see any why questions you typed before. Interesting. I mean, of course, each class you're supposed to use or for, but the content in general. Many different answers. I would, when I was thinking about that, I would agree with VRL. For me, it's more about how. It's all about how to meditate, no? How do I sit when I meditate, correct posture? How do I do preliminaries? How do I prepare myself? How do I solve the problems that I meet? It's all how to meditate from class 1 to 7. Will you agree that it's all about how to meditate mainly? All different instructions on how to meditate. If you agree, say plus. If not, say minus. Yeah. So that now is the question. We are trying to a little bit look at the whole course, ACI 3, to look at the bigger picture. Now, in class 8, suddenly, we will start to talk about what is meditation, what kind of meditation there, what different types of meditation, and what to meditate on. after we already learned how to meditate, 7 classes we were learning how to meditate. Now we are like suddenly, what is meditation? What do you think? Like we're just trying to reflect and think there is no correct answer. What do you think? Why Geshe Michael first 7 classes teaches how to meditate, and then suddenly at class 8 explains what is meditation and object of meditation? What do you think? Why he didn't explain at the beginning, hello, let's start with what is meditation, and then already how to meditate? Why first he does how to meditate? I don't know, by the way, the correct answer. I'm not sure there is a correct answer, but I think it's a good question to think. No? What do you think? To collect seeds for understanding. Interesting. Because type does not like to wait. Because the type how doesn't like to wait. That's an interesting idea. Because we must begin to sit and try to meditate before we even know what is meditation. Interesting. Because type how doesn't like to wait. Wow, I didn't know. Actually, it's my favorite type, type 3. Ivan, meditation is an instrument. We need to know how to apply it in the best possible way. So Ivan is saying we need to know how, and then what is this? Okay. To just start it off and then work on the problems or details. To get us into practice, Janine, I like that. Give us the tools first. So first he gives us the tools and then explains the sculpture that we are going to do. That's the idea. Skillful means true, Alexei Sidorenko. I think Geshe Michael always uses skillful means. Perhaps to break concepts, Brigitte. Interesting. Different levels of students, because many people meditate not correctly. Building the basement to get them to practice first. Meditation is a tool. We need instructions first. I like all your ideas. It's a conversation we are having. We were discussing it with Peter. I asked him the same question. And I agree with many of you. Like usually people who would come to meditation course, they already come to meditation course. Most likely they have some idea of what is meditation. We don't know yet what, right? But most likely they have some idea. They already came to meditation course. Then, of course, most likely what they expect is that what they get from this course is how to meditate, instructions. And that's what Geshe gives. That's what we give them first. 7 classes, how to meditate. And then I think then we kind of building up trust during this whole 7 classes. So that then finally at class 8, we can go into discussion of, well, guys, let's actually discuss what is meditation. Because I do think that many people in modern world have strange ideas about what is meditation. And if you start with trying to change these ideas, they are wrong ideas or strange ideas, they don't know us yet. They might, I don't know, might not like it. So we're slowly building up the trust, teaching them how to meditate. So that then eventually they trust us enough so we can form a mental picture of what is a correct meditation. And that's, I think, is the main idea of this class 8. You want to form in students' mind a mental picture of what is the correct meditation. It's very, very important. There's so many different ideas right now about what is this. So let's go into that. Let's do it together. Let's see. Let me share the screen. So, because we are going to form a mental picture, there are different ways how to do it. One is using pictures, visual way. That's what, for example, I'm showing you my slides. I was choosing pictures. That's one way how you can help your students to understand certain ideas, to show in them pictures. And I love in ACI, we have idioms, which Geshe Michael invented, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, right, in Lamrims. It's genius. Idioms is idea image that represents a certain idea. And that's a very good way to help people to form picture in their mind. But there is one more cool way, which I'm going to use today also, and which we are using, but maybe we didn't think about it. So there is a cool way to form a mental picture of a certain idea. And it is in Tibetan system. And it's when you first try to explain what it is not. You take wrong ideas and then you cancel them. So that then people, students, can understand what is correct, not by just directly telling them what is correct idea, but taking everything what it is not. And this is much deeper way. I love this. This is also in a Tibetan system, it's all over. We use this method. We kind of like, I like this picture, we kind of trying to, like sculptors, trying to create a sculpture by cutting out certain pieces that, and then what is left is a perfect concept, a perfect sculpture. We are cutting parts that are not this idea. And this is also connected to actually the way our mind works and the way mental images, mental pictures work.